Regarding the question of do you give how do you scaffold the making it? So for the last 3 years, I've used video introductions in class. So instead of saying filling out a 3x5 card and saying or standing up and saying, "Hi, I'm John. I'm from Og Hall, and I'm excited to be in this class," and sitting down and have that awkward 30 seconds of stammering, I had them each make the 3-minute video. And then on like the third week, we just got a big bag of popcorn and we learned about each other. And it was cool because they made that video, and you could do it all in one shot in 3 minutes, so it would take 3 minutes. I scaffolded them by doing it myself. And so in addition to having the webcam video thing here and going through the whole process of that, I had a phone camera over here looking over my shoulder, seeing the buttons that I said, and I had the making of "Hi, I'm John," and then this was "Hi, I'm John." My 3-minute video was "Hi, I'm John." The 5-minute video where I talk about the director and working with the director and all of the inside stuff of the making of The Hobbit or whatever is about, and all I got to do is press this button here and do that. So the training was built in my video, and they loved it because they could sit in the comfort of their apartments or their dorms, surrounded by their stuff. It was home for them. And if they didn't like what they did, they could adjust the lighting to get rid of that double chin that these things give us, and set things up just right. Type up their Google Doc script so that it's right there, so they know exactly what to say. They could do it. People spend hours and hours and hours on this. Others spent 3 minutes on it, and so it was really kind of this comfortable way to have this assignment.
And so, I think, with the activity that we have for you, is to sort of kind of show you sort of how easy it is to just create a quick video in YouTube or create a quick video in Kaltura. But also, one of the things, and I was talking to John about this before the session, was that Google has this thing where it's called YouTube Live. And through Google, you can do a Hangout on air. Now, what that means is that you can broadcast yourself live and give a link to somebody. They can come in. There's Q&A sessions, so you can answer questions. And I was thinking to myself, I was a lecturer here on campus for both a graduate course and undergraduate courses. And when I had office hours, I'm pretty sure everybody here, no one ever shows until right before the papers due. And then it's normally, I have a D this entire semester, how do I get the A? Invent a time machine, because you can't. But if you had this YouTube Live and you could do that, and some people could just chime in and log into the service and ask you questions there, you could have virtual office hours, because sometimes it's awkward to sort of approach a professor in a class of 700 students. And professors don't know your name, and sometimes it's uncomfortable to talk to the TAs in a very enclosed space. So to having that there, where a TA could do like a virtual hangout and have students submitting questions, then they can answer them. And better yet, once you're done with the broadcast, it archives it. So people could always go back and watch those videos of these sessions, which I think is a really cool thing. And I think maybe we should start using more in instruction. But I'm talking way too much.
I know in math they have that for their study hours. They'll have a virtual thing. The TA will be there with a whiteboard and a bunch of people are watching them on the laptop and asking questions. Hangouts.
Is there a limit to how many people can be invited to those Google Live?
I think it's 15 now. It started off as 5, and then it was 7 and 9, and I don't know exactly what it's up to now, but
So
I want to say it was.
So if you're with tens of thousands of students, it may not exactly be the approach.
You can't have 10,000s of students.
Oh, no.
Well, I'm sorry. There are 15 that can show up on the screen, but only. But I think an unlimited number of people can watch.
Can you watch?
Yes. Yeah. So.
Okay.
That's you. So my work at COEL, I do a lot of professional development webinars. I attend a lot of them because I'm very interested in educational technology. And one of them was a YouTube Live event that was sponsored and thousands of people could enroll and watch it. It was about using technology in instruction, but their YouTube Live feed died. So it was sort of a real big fail. But that was on their end. It wasn't necessarily because of YouTube's fault. But yeah, you can, even though you might not be able to be physical or like typing in the questions, you could have them submit questions beforehand and then do the YouTube Live to directly address it. And then maybe if those 15 or 50 are there, they can sort of chime in with other questions and then they can answer them there. So if you do have this sheet, start trying to make a YouTube video and follow the instructions of the Esperanto voices. We're also going to ask that you go to this Google Doc once you do it and link up so that we can also have a collection of Esperanto as well.
And there's a bit.ly link to this page that Ryan's showing right now, so you don't have to just type in that whole crazy URL.
Yeah, so the bit.ly/grumpy video.
And if you ever do videos in class, having a Google sign-up sheet like this is the way to do it, because otherwise they don't have to, otherwise they'll come in with a flash drive and they'll be like, here, I hope this works, and they'll try to plug it in, and they'll have made it in some format that you have no idea that doesn't work, and everybody's got to come and reload their stuff. This way, it's just up on the YouTube thing, and they've all tested it, and it all works out so well.
Can we get a live demo of this Esperanto voice?
Yeah, I don't know Esperanto. This is the whole point. That's why there's Esperanto.
There's a hint. If you watch my video, that's how my video is called.
Margaret's different languages, so let's watch your Margaret.
I don't know if for some reason the volume is really quiet on here, but
If you're like me and like to know how to pronounce things before you immortalize them on the internet, there is a pronunciation guide for Esperanto under the Wikipedia entry for Esperanto.
Oh.
that's your clue.
I didn't read that at all. So,
That's how I figured it out, because I didn't know what Esperanto was either.
there's a great movie by Kirk, Captain Kirk. called-
William Shatner.
William Shatner, all done in Esperanto. It's a universal language. It's only 50,000 words. Or something like that.
It's all invented. Yeah.
It's all invented. It's to bring world peace.
My first video was actually a snarky comment.
I've got a channel, but I can't find my recording.
So if you go to, did you go to,
Here, over here.
So I changed my video to something else.
Do I need to go to this special?
You could. You can use your personal Google account if you like as well, instead of using your whisk.edu Google account.
Okay.
Okay. But Unlisted.
I know. That's fine. Okay. But do I really want to?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's the struggle.
When you are done recording,
Well, it seems like that, okay.
Okay.
Shouldn't I, I start, oh.
This is the internet.
yep, and then click on
If you
allow, and
overthink it, it doesn't work.
then click on close. Then you should have your face should eventually show up. Wait, here's the YouTube wants to use your, you have to allow it
Oh,
here as
okay,
well.
oh, there it is, okay. All right.
So sometimes the allowed permissions page, as far as allowed to use the microphone, it'll show up right underneath your browser bar as well. So sometimes you have to give it permission twice in addition to the little flash pop-up.
Also, if you're curious at all, I could show you really quickly how to just do a really quick Google Hangout on YouTube Live. So if you're just doing the creation video, again, if you're doing the upload, and you just see, you already did the webcam capture, but you can also just go down here, Google Hangouts on air and broadcast, and then you can give it a name. So I'll just say John Martin
Invite me.
presents. And you could do it start now, you could do it later times, you can schedule it and then tell people ahead of time exactly when it's going to happen. The audience can be public, or you can add people in your circles or through Google+. And then if you just do share, and you could do like a trailer of your video, and if it starts like right here, just do an allow real quick. You can do requirements, you can invite them through email, if you have a list of that, or just require people to be over 18. And you notice here there's all these different options. So there's a chat, you could have people chatting on the sidebar, but that might be like just word salad, so you might want to turn that off. You also have the option to turn these things off. So I can also do a QA session. So if people are logging in and I ask a question on the video, then they can start answering the question through there. And you can sort out the questions by answered questions or like spam questions, so things are just like excessive. The control room,
Start broadcast.
oh yeah.
So even the chat is just 15, or can you have more than 15 in that chat?
I think you can have quite a few people, like people that can actually answer, but then a lot of people, then anybody who has my, so for instance, I was testing this out yesterday at my work, and a coworker of mine on campus jumped into my Google Hangout, my YouTube Live, as I was just testing it and broadcasting, because he's like, hey, so what's going on? What are you talking about? I'm like, I'm just testing this out. Oh, okay, all right, I'll jump out. I'm like, all right. But you can also sort this so that people can answer questions, or when they log in, it automatically mutes their microphone and camera so that they don't start popping up on screen. So it's a really nice way to sort of do a really quick and dirty sort of TA hangout or faculty hangout, just to answer some really quick questions. I just wanted to share that with you. And so now, once I stop the broadcast.
Aw, but I was watching you.
You were watching me, weren't you?
How would we,
Now that'll be archived. So within my Google profile, or my YouTube channel as well, that will forever be archived. So anybody can go back and listen to it. Let's say if you had a professor and you went through a math problem and they didn't understand it, and they want to watch it again, they can do that.
how would, if you were the instructor, would you invite your whole class when you first set that up on the initial screen when you're setting up the date and time of the Google Hangout on air?
So one of the sharing options you also have is that you can just give them a link
Oh.
to go to your Google Hangout. So for instance, if I have a class list email, like a wisc.edu class list, and I have the link to my Google Hangout, I can say my office hours will be Thursday from 1 to 2. I will be doing it via YouTube Live. Here's the link. And then they can access it. And then you can turn off that public option so that you don't get the random trolls jumping in. It'll be people that can just have access, or who have your link can only access that YouTube Live. So it's sort of a neat thing. If you want to try to play around with some of the options there, I would urge you to do that, just because it's sort of it's something I discovered probably about 2 weeks ago, and kind of really sort of thought this would be awesome if I was still teaching, to have this with my students. And I'm going to try to shove this onto the video games and learning TAs, because I still know them. I'm going to try to pressure them to use this.
So you wouldn't necessarily have to use a pre-register option for somebody to be able to join?
Right, right. It's just whoever has the link can jump in, whoever, and it depends on the sharing settings. So you could have it if they're in your Google circles, that they can jump in and join, or if they have access to your YouTube channel, they can join, or if you just want it private with a few people, just send the link and then it broadcasts and then it archives everything. Because I mean, you can use a lot of different type of software, but then you have to use encoders, and it kind of gets excessively techy, and the buy-in is just, it's not enough for people that just want to do something really quick and fast with students. So I found this to be a really great alternative to doing all of that. Does anyone have any questions about privacy? You said you might have questions about privacy concerns or implementation of the
Yeah,
video.
I mean, I'm thinking if we're using this with students, what do we have to do in terms of privacy if it's being posted on YouTube or, you know, put out there on the web? I know that there have been concerns within our department, even, you know, taking a picture of people who know they're having their picture taken if we didn't have a signed consent to, you know, put it on Facebook, for instance. So what are the privacy concerns we need to worry about to ensure that we're not having any issues?
That's a good question. One of the things that so I am also an instructor at the IT Academy. So we teach high schoolers from freshman to senior, different various applications and sort of using video and photo editing, audio editing, and a lot of times their work is posted online. What we normally encourage for them is to make it unlisted so that you can't search for it, and the only way that you can access it is actually using the link.
Another thing I was gonna suggest too, because like, I mean, I know this is kind of related to privacy, but commenting can be kind of hurtful sometimes. So also you can remove your comments or like elect to have comments turned off for your video. And that might be a good thing to have your students do as well, just to prevent any of that like nastiness that could happen, you know?
Right.
By making it unlisted, it's really rare that anyone, I've never seen in the 3 years, and it's only 20 videos a year, but nobody has ever gotten outside of that. So it's not, because it's not public and for people, random trolls to sort of stumble across and get hateful on, it's just the people in the class that are able to comment on those videos. I tell my students immediately after we talk about them, you can take it down, And some elect to do that, like only 1 or 2 a semester, but some choose to do that.
I just know that within my department, if students are gonna be posting something on the internet, they're gonna want some written permission or something, I don't know.
Right, okay.
But it's a much bigger issue in terms of, okay, so we're one department within the whole university, and so is there a university policy around this that I could bring if somebody, you know, to be proactive about
Sure.
it and ensure that we're adhering to university policy?
And the other option is then to use Kaltura, which lets you have much more protected within the class, so only the people that are logged into D2L and Kaltura through the D2L or logged in through Kaltura Media Space can access those videos. The third option is to make it private in YouTube and then say, share it with the other 20 people in the class, or share it with this, I don't think you can do a share it with the mailing list, but share it with this,
Yeah.
the other 20 people in the class. And that way you know that it's only those 20 people, but then they have to be logged in.
Right, and that is a lot more work, so.
And that is a lot more work, yep.
But there's no policy that we can present to.
University of Iowa, I found, has policy on that, and there's a link on the, I don't know if it's a link on the page, on the bottom of the page there for other resources on the front page of that, or if it was just like the third hit in the, if you Google student created video assignments. But that was a fairly informative page.
So we don't have a policy currently?
To the best of my knowledge, we
Should we?
don't.
They're consenting adults. Did you say, should we have a policy?
Should we have a policy? Yeah,
Well,
Catherine?
When you activate your UW Madison Google account, if I'm remembering, aren't there, I mean, this isn't policy, but there's, I believe there are some guidelines that you are agreeing to.
There are guidelines.
about
Well,
appropriate use and what it's not.
and YouTube itself has those sets of guidelines. Do we have a policy? I don't think that we have a, hey, university faculty, here's the things that to do to protect yourselves. From my understanding, we don't.
It just seems like, you know, with this emerging, we really need to consider having a policy so that those of us who are doing things, and then people within our departments who are not so innovative, don't know technology, et cetera, we can, you know, say, okay, this is to protect the privacy. You know, how we have this, the rules to protect student privacy in other domains. This is going to be a, you know, a more emerging issue, I think.
Yeah.
And it's already hit me in my department, trying
Okay.
to do innovative things with social media.
Maybe something to bring
And
up
it's
with the
maybe
TL.
scale back.
And I know that Google Apps, the UW version of Google Apps has been vetted by UW lawyers. So I don't know what exactly the policies are with that, but I believe that that is online, the what is it called? The thing that you click that nobody ever reads when you get
That
new
nobody
software.
reads,
Terms of
yeah,
service?
exactly.
Terms of service, yes.
Sounds like a great question for DLT mag or
Yeah.
ITC.
Yeah.
So does anyone see any possibilities of using this kind of a thing in the courses that you teach?
Well, we need way to have office hours.
And as I mentioned, I forgot his name, but I was talking to the person who runs the intro math courses, a series of however many courses, and he says that his TAs do that. And it helps because I think, as Ryan said, students don't want to come into your office because it's very intimidating. But they'll enter into a video chat if there are 3 other people already at that video chat, or if there's like group office hours and it's just another person. They can be eating their Fritos or whatever, and it's a safer space in some ways.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and students just have that tendency, like, they don't want to necessarily talk, it's not like they're talking bad about the TA, or like the TA is not instructing them right, it's just they have these concerns, but they never can vocalize them, and you can't really do that in like the bubble sheet form. So what I would do in my classes is like every half semester, in the middle of the semester, I would kick all the TAs out of my class, and then I would talk with my students for like 30 minutes, like, how is the instruction, what are the things that you need, are these readings appropriate, because I didn't know who they were really. I mean, I knew their faces, didn't know their names, and they knew me, but they knew that I didn't know them that well, so they felt free to like express those things. And they wouldn't express it with the TA that they see every single week and knows them by name and talks to them and interacts with them. And so it's like having that extra level of sort of removal of it, where I don't have to feel like I necessarily have to own every single statement I make. I see allows students to become more free with their opinions and with questions. You know, sometimes people think that their question's stupid, and they don't want to ask it because they feel like it's intimidating. But in a space like that, they can ask it, and maybe it's not the greatest question in the world, but they still are asking it because they need to know. And now you have the opportunity to answer that, whereas before you may not have had that at all.
I think there's some really great opportunities for that next level of processing. So you do a lecture, you bring forth some content, and then you go ask the student to capture something that's out there that represents what you were just talking about, how it applies to their environment, their world, and share that.
In the screen capture, I thought, like the video assignment of
Phone screen capture.
what's your first video game, a lot of the ones that Ryan didn't show have actual screen captures of the person playing the game and talking about it as they're playing the game. So you see the example in the gameplay as they're overdubbing it.
So you're asking them to engage in a second level of metacognition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there were a lot of videos of like them actually playing through the game and voicing over. And there were even some videos of like the gameplay and then like the little box with their face, so you could actually see them like walking through the process themselves. Did you?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I can see some really cool applications being done with the Google Hangouts, where you have students kind of self-select into differing areas of opinion, and then getting together and having like a debate that they record and then post. I think that'd be a really cool way to get some of that processing to happen.
And students are already using this for their group projects. They're collaborating via Google Hangouts and writing papers together while the videos are going back with each other. Lane, I'm sorry.
Oh, just a couple things. One, the video or the videos. I know that sometimes students don't want to do videos because the nice thing about doing things online, like I do a blended course, is not having to get dressed and be in your pajamas.
Uh-huh.
So videos kind of undermine that.
You can turn the camera off.
You can turn the camera off, but that
or just turn the up here.
Yeah. The other thing as well is that videos have been. What I think they'd be really useful for is that I teach history to a bunch of non-history majors. What's the point of this? Why am I here? And I really emphasize what are they going to get out of my class that they're going to be able to apply into their job, into their future careers. And I think the videos would be a really great opportunity for students to really see, oh, hey, I'm going to learn public speaking skills. I'm going to have interviews on Skype. I need to be able to talk into a computer effectively. And I think that's a really great tool for this. The other thing as well is I think that, and maybe you guys would be able to comment on this better, but I know with certain technology tools that I encourage my students to use, they won't use it unless I give them a reason to, and I force them to do it just maybe once, just to let them kind of come over the hump. Google Drive, excellent resource. I couldn't get anybody to use it for even group projects. No one would touch it until I forced them to do it once, and now that's all they ever use. Right. And I think this, you have to, I don't think if you just say, oh, hey, this is a really great opportunity to use this Google Hangouts for virtual office hours. I don't know if anyone will necessarily show up unless you maybe kind of force them over that hump. Because I've done that, I've been doing virtual office hours all semester, and I've had 2 people show. 2 people show, and that was just the last week, and that's because I've really been harping on it. But the people that showed up were like, this is the most amazing thing. You just completely walked through my entire paper with me from across campus. I was like, yeah, this is a great resource. I've been harping about it all semester. Why don't you show me?
The last time they're going to say that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a matter of, I think we may not get them, like, we have a cool tool. We've seen a really great demonstration of how it can work. They haven't seen that demonstration. They're going to be like, this is another thing my professor wants me to do. Screw it. I'm going to just do what I normally do. And I think we just got to push them a little bit, and then
you got to lead the horse to the water and stick their head in the so the nose gets wet.
Yeah. And then they'll like, oh, okay, this is I'm thirsty.
Yeah.
I was just going to agree with you more. I'm in distance education, professional development, and I have about 60 learners in 2 sections right now. And I found you have to model it. Because if you don't model it, the first week was an audio, and some of them get it, But then there are some that like, well, unless you show, you do it, then I'm not gonna try it until you do it. So it can be very successful. And the other thing that I've used, because the course is totally online, is that a lot of times, if they're just visual people, they need some sort of audio to summarize the week. So every Friday, what I do is summarize what I consider the important points. So there's a lot of, and I'm still new at this, but there's a lot of tools I think that can be used to interact with the students or learners.
I think modeling is important because not only does it help them, but it helps the instructor be like, am I realistic about how much time I think this is going to take?
Right.
How much time did it take me? And let's be kind and double that for the students, even though I'm the Luddite in the room. But I'll double it anyway, and then figure that as the expectation.
It's really interesting, these comments about student reluctance to go into some of these spaces, or maybe it's not reluctance, or they don't have time. You know, they feel like they've already got things done. It's more work.
Yeah.
And
Well, the students that make it here are the ones who've learned how to play the school game. And the school game is, right, you know, writing papers and doing sort of the standard things. And they're good at getting information, but they're not necessarily good at creating new stuff. And that's what the Research One University is about, is creating new knowledge and making things. And it's not just about learning stuff that's already out there. So I think that's one of the things we can bring to our students.